Dave knows how.
Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about PTO maintenance that I like to do on the back of my Kubota tractor. So there's a couple things that I like to use on the back of my Kubota tractor to check out, inspect, and clean the PTO shaft. One thing I like to use is a little bit of diesel fuel, and I'll stick that in this white container. I picked this up at the dollar store. It's basically when you do your dishes, you can put them down in here or whatnot, or use it for a bunch of different things. So this was in the kitchen department at the dollar store, so only $1. You get them at Walmart too. We got a little bit of diesel fuel in the bottom of there, and we're going to take one of these rags and we're just going to drop it down in there, soak up some of that diesel fuel. Another product I like to use is PB Blaster. Now, I mainly use this in addition to the diesel fuel for cleaning. The diesel fuel I use more for heavy cleaning, and this I use more for light cleaning and scrubbing, which brings me to this little item. Now, this is a brass brush, and generally I like to either use a brass brush or a stainless steel. I prefer the stainless steel, but I couldn't locate my stainless steel brush, so today we're going to use the brass one, but I do prefer using the stainless steel. It's a little bit stiffer, does a little bit better job, and it's not as soft and as the brass is. We got a little bit of gray grease, just some heavy duty multi-purpose grease, nothing spectacular, and several shop rags, clean ones. We're going to soak this one in diesel fuel we got soaking over here. So let's move in a little bit closer to this PTO shaft and see what we're going to do to take care of any issues we might have there. So the first thing you'll notice on my PTO shaft is that it's got this cover on there. And generally speaking, I like to leave this cover on whenever the PTO is not being used. So the first thing I like to do is get my rag that's soaked in diesel fuel and give this shaft a good wipe down. Now, of course, we want to make sure the tractor is off. Set the parking brake. PTO is not engaged, so it spins freely by hand. And we're just going to take this rag soaked in diesel and we're going to clean all around this PTO. We're even going to clean this cover up under here. Get any kind of dust, dirt, and debris off of there. Now, a lot of times, the diesel fuel, and you can use this to wipe down all sorts of stuff back here. It's not going to hurt a thing. Get some of that grime and whatnot off of there. I like doing it this way rather than with a power wash, because a lot of times power washer will penetrate the seal back here. Okay, so now that we've got that done, we're going to take a little bit of this PB Blaster and we're going to spray this down a little bit. Rotate it, spray it. Okay, and then we're going to take our brush. We're going to brush out these grooves. And rotate it around and brush out the grooves. We're just trying to get any caked on grease that may be on this shaft that's dried out, and that grease, when it dries out, it gets hard. We just want to clean that out of them grooves. We'll wipe the end, and right up in here, let's see if we can get a light up in here. I don't know if that's bright enough or not. Let's try this one. Okay. So right up back in here, there's a seal, okay? And if this seal starts leaking, you'll see fluid leaking out of here. You'll be losing transmission fluid, hydraulic fluid, and whatnot. So one of the things that I'm inspecting for, right up around in here, things can get wrapped around there and eat that seal out and cause that seal to go bad. Now, some of the things that might get caught up in there, if you live near a pond and you're mowing around that pond, you might get some fishing line wrapped around here, and that can get up in there and do a lot of damage. Also, if anybody's ever baled hay on the property, the netting that they wrap the hay bales in can be out in the field and get wrapped around there and eat that seal up. So that's what I'm inspecting for now. Is there anything that might be up in here that would damage that seal? Now I'll take this brush and I'll lightly brush in there. I don't want to get real aggressive with this thing because I don't want to damage that seal, even though it is recessed up in there. I don't want to take any chances. So we're just gonna clean that out a little bit, brush it off, and then spray it down with some more PB Blaster. Okay, now that we've got that thing pretty clean, we're gonna go in here and just kind of wipe this dry with a clean cloth. Get all the gook and grime out of there and kind of dry it off. After we get the PTO shaft and up around the bearing dried off good, we'll go ahead and wipe all this dry. Get this nice and clean. Okay, so the next thing is going to be, of course, adding this grease. So this is just some inexpensive Super Tech from Walmart. We don't want it a lot, we just want a little light coat of grease. So we're just going to push this down in each one of those grooves very lightly. And then just lube this up. Very lightly grease it up. You ain't got a whole big heaping mess of grease on that it's gonna get all over everything. But we've got enough on there to do the job. Okay, so we're getting down to it now. We'll wipe off our cover. And we'll go ahead and put this cover back on there. And I like to leave that cover on there anytime I'm not using the PTO. Well, there you go. There's a few little maintenance things I like to do to my PTO shaft. You know, all the time I hear from people and see comments that people leave about how much trouble it is to hook up the PTO shaft on the back of their tractor. And doing this simple little procedure right here a couple times a year is one way to ensure that your PTO shaft functions properly and slides up on here very easily, and it's not such a beast to connect and disconnect. A lot of times this end of the tractor at the PTO shaft kind of gets neglected, and people don't really do a whole lot of maintenance and cleaning and whatnot to them. And then again, you got a lot of people that want to use a power washer back here and wash this thing off, and that's really not a great idea. High pressure water can be pushed up into that seal, get into the transmission. If it pushes past the seal out here, chances are it's going to create a leak. So you really need to be careful with the power washer when you're washing these tractors off. Now I do use a power washer to wash mine from time to time, but I do try to be mindful of where the seals are, and I try to stay away from injecting water into those seals. Anyway, as you can see, I put the PTO cover back on. I like to keep that on there anytime I'm not using the PTO, and that kind of keeps dust and dirt and debris from sticking to that grease that's on there. And that is basically what makes it so hard to get the PTO shaft on and off easily. So just a little bit of maintenance will definitely make things easier for you when it comes time to hook up your rear implements, PTO driven implements. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. And I hope everybody's having a wonderful summer. Take care, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.